Hi, welcome to our LinkedIn training video series. This is our next video, What to Do After People Show Interest in Your LinkedIn Profile. Once again, I'm Kevin Thomas Tully. Join with me today, as always, Scott Offord and Philip Cardwell. So Scott, I visit your LinkedIn profile, and I'm showing some interest in you or
Yeah.
what you have to offer as a business or as a person. What should you do next?
Yeah, I mean, really, there's a lot of different things you could do. Maybe the wrong answer would be request to connect. I don't know. I used to do that, and I think Philip, is that what you used to do at one time? Just, hey, oh, somebody visit my
Actually,
profile.
actually, I will, and let me give you a very strong warning about that very quickly, is that just because someone has visited your profile, even if you visited theirs, they visited you back, does not mean that they want to connect. I made the mistake one time when I was visiting multiple profiles a night of assuming that since I visited someone, they revisited me, they must want to connect. So I automatically attempted to connect with them. After a very, very short period of time, you will receive a red warning at the top of the page when you go to connect with someone, and where LinkedIn tells you you have to acknowledge this message, or you will be required to know someone's email address from that point forward when inviting them to connect. And that happens because you get too many what they call I don't knows, which means you go to connect with a person, they decline the connect because they didn't know who you were, or at least
Right.
they say they don't know who you are. So I'd be very careful of that. And one more thing, if you ever get that warning because you've invited too many people, if you're in the process of where you've done it a lot, I would wait a week or so before I invited someone else to connect, in case any of those stragglers who don't visit LinkedIn every day come back in after you've acknowledged to LinkedIn that you won't do it again, and they click you as an I don't know, because you
Yeah.
don't want to lock yourself into having to use your email address or theirs.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different things you could do, like we were saying, and inviting them to connect is one. I don't know if that's the best thing. You can follow up with a message, right? Kevin, what do you say?
I've got a couple things to say about that, Scott. But first, I want to address what Philip said, and that's very important. The magic number that LinkedIn won't tell you about is 5. If it takes 5 people who just have to click I don't know or mark you as spam when you offer them a request to connect on LinkedIn, because of the terms of service, LinkedIn wants you only to connect to people who you know. And if 5 people say they either don't know you or they mark your invitation to connect as spam, you will be placed into LinkedIn jail, as Philip described, and you will have to use an email address each and every time you connect with someone. But there is some good news. There is a LinkedIn get out of jail free card, and it involves a lot of begging. Well, not too much. You can actually go to the customer service help portal and say, you can swear up and down that you'll never do it again, and you'll only connect with people you know. As Philip said, it's a great strategy just to wait a little bit to clear out the queue, as it were, in case there's others once you acknowledge the message. But indiscriminate connections, offering them to people you really don't know very well just in order to get your network numbers up, not a good strategy. What is a good strategy, however, if this is a person who meets, as we spoke about in previous videos, your ideal buyer persona, if it's someone with whom you'd like to do business, why not send them a message that provides value? Offer something of value. Tell this person or show this person how you can become a resource to them in whatever field you're in. For example, Scott, Philip, if you visited my profile and I sent something as innocuous as, Philip, thanks for visiting my profile. Um, let's see, what could I write? What could I write here? In case we happen to, follow each other on Twitter, which I know we do. I see we've already followed each other on Twitter. Why don't we connect here on LinkedIn? And please use me as a resource for social selling.
Mhm.
And that's not a threatening message. What that is me trying to provide you some value in exchange for the connection. You can see that what I do is I am involved with social selling and leveraging social media in order to generate revenue, and that's what we teach. So if that's something that's of value to you, you'll connect with me when I send you that innocuous message.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll tell you one other thing too that I do also is when communicating with people, it's very important to stay in touch and maintain that relationship. The more that you are in front of that potential client, is really what they are aside from just a friend, then the more often and the more often that they hear your name, the more likely they are to remember you. So what I'll do occasionally is, if I recognize that person has put out any type of status update, posted any kind of article, anything like that, I'll make sure and read it. And if it's honestly, if it's something that's decent and it's worthy of either liking it or sharing it with your network, then absolutely do it. If it's someone you can tell who just simply puts multiple stuff out there for no various reason, then I don't bother. But another thing that you can do is that, there are several ways when you log into LinkedIn on your home page, it will tell you, for instance, 15 people in your network who are either having job anniversaries, change jobs, or work anniversaries, they call it, change jobs, birthdays, things like that. I typically use some kind of macro or text expand or something like that, and I'll tell them, I wish them the best at their new job. If there's anything I can ever do for you, feel free to contact me by telephone or email. I'm just a click away, and then I'll put my profile ID URL. So anything that you can do to make sure that you stay in touch with or involved with that particular person, it'll benefit you in the long run, because a lot of people have connections that they don't communicate with for years and they don't have any clue who they even are anymore.
Yeah, yeah, and I was going to say another thing about following up, and taking that next action after somebody visits your profile is, if you ever lose track, it's been a while, there's always this little button here on their profile that says, hey, when did you connect with them? And there's different notes as well that you can enter. Like I could write here, recorded video with
And
Kevin.
that's a very great point, Scott, because I do that on all of my connections. I'll just write a quick note because that portion of LinkedIn serves as a great top of the funnel reminder whenever you're pulling up someone's profile that you can add a little note there on how you met. I met Scott at a conference in San Diego, and we talked about X. Or Phil Cardwell introduced me to Scott at such and such a time. So that way I know whenever I'm pulling up Scott's profile, it's just a simple, easy reminder at that point in that time, whenever I'm talking to Scott, if I haven't spoken with Scott in a while, that I know how we were originally introduced and how
You
we
know,
met.
not only is that a great idea on the how you met, the reminder's fantastic too, but I can't overemphasize how important tags are, because tags, when it automatically, there's usually a reason that someone has connected with you, be it because you visited them when you were trying to show them a certain skill set or benefits that you had to offer them, and you need to remember exactly what it is or who that person was, or at least what the subject is. So a simple way to do it, instead of the notes, which I think is a little bit more extensive, which is great if you want to go that far, is to just tag them. And when you start a tag, you can open all kinds of new tags and you can make them say whatever you want to. I think I probably have about 70 different tags. Let's say, for instance, I wanted to go look up all of the contacts that I had tagged for crowdfunding. I just simply go and I click that tag, and there they would be, each and every one of them that I'm
It's
connected to.
under your connections area. Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
great. So, any other tips on what to do after somebody's visited your profile?
I'll tell you something not to do. And I think it was briefly mentioned by either you, Philip, or you, Scott. The thing that I always warn people against is you never want to connect and close, especially if you're in the sales industry or no matter what
Yeah.
industry you're into. I mean, think about how you would feel if you ever received this message. Philip sent me a message that said, hey, I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn, and then just launched into whatever product or service he was trying to sell. Uh, when
Yeah.
before you press send, just think about it. What would it be like if you received that message? I
Mm.
know that there are sales folks out there in marketing in every industry that they have a quota to hold to, and they want to try to sell their product or service. But there's a right way to go about doing it, and there's a wrong way about going about to doing it. And connecting and closing is not the right way. So just don't do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great advice. Well, thank you.